Welcome, everyone. Have you ever wondered why certain pieces of content just absolutely take over the internet? Like, why you suddenly find yourself glued to a screen, totally invested in a complete stranger's virtual struggle for survival? Well, in this explainer, we're going to meticulously deconstruct a massive viral hit. We'll look at the raw data and the structural elements of a 100 Days Survival Challenge to figure out exactly how this incredible engine of attention is actually built.
100. Just think about that number for a second. In the world of survival content, making it to 100 days is the ultimate gold standard. It instantly tells us that what we're about to witness isn't just some quick 10-minute sprint. And let's be real, on the internet, our attention spans are usually measured in seconds, right? But this establishes a grueling timeline, a heavy time investment from the creator, and a rock-solid guarantee that a serious journey of struggle is about to unfold.
But that brings us to a really fundamental question. What makes survival so addictive for us to watch? I mean, why do we care if a stranger survives 100 virtual days? The answer is actually in how perfectly this specific package targets our deepest psychological triggers. It taps right into our primal instincts, our absolute love for progression, and our kind of morbid curiosity about chaos. We aren't just passively watching these challenges, we're experiencing the tension right alongside the player.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The blueprint of virality, setting the stage. Because everything starts with the foundational text. The blueprint of virality doesn't just happen by accident, no way. It is meticulously crafted, literally word by word, to create this perfect narrative trap that makes scrolling past almost impossible. Just look at the exact title we're analyzing. I survived 100 days in a zombie apocalypse in Minecraft Hardcore. Every single phrase here is doing some heavy lifting. I survived immediately gives us a triumphant past tense. It tells you there is a complete, super satisfying story arc waiting for you. 100 days gives you the epic duration. Zombie apocalypse sets up the terrifying environment. So it's not just a game anymore. It's a high-stakes, cinematic scenario perfectly distilled into one single sentence.
But honestly, the real linchpin of that title is the word hardcore. As we're defining it here, hardcore is a game mode where if you die, it is permanently over. Imagine writing a 100-page essay and your computer just crashes without saving. Yep, that is the exact level of anxiety we are dealing with here. There are no respawns, no second chances. If the player makes one tiny mistake on day 99, all of those hours are just erased, gone. This transforms a simple, blocky game into a genuinely tense narrative where every single encounter carries the ultimate weight of permanent failure.
Section 2. Anatomy of the thumbnail. The first impression.
So we've got the title, but how do you capture someone's attention in the mere milliseconds they spend scrolling on their phones? It's all about visual contrast. On one side, you have the small, vulnerable player, and on the other, this towering, absolute behemoth of a giant zombie set against a burning city. It's the classic David versus Goliath threat level, conveyed in a fraction of a second. That level of devastation instantly communicates the monumental, almost impossible odds stacked against the player.
And overlaying that scene of devastation is this absolutely critical text, 100 days, stamped in massive, bold, unmissable lettering. You've seen the threat, and now this text reminds you of the grueling marathon required to actually survive it. It just perfectly marries the visual stakes with the time investment, creating this completely irresistible package.
All right, Section 3. The mechanics of escalation. The engine of tension.
Now, getting a click is one thing, right? But keeping a viewer watching for an entire feature-length journey requires something way more dynamic. The source material reveals a brilliant gameplay hook that literally forces deep viewer investment. Day 1 starts with a baseline threat. It's scary, sure, but it's manageable. But then, the rule is established. More zombies spawn every 10 days. By day 10, the pressure is really mounting. And as we push toward day 100, we are looking at ultimate, unbridled survival chaos. This 10-day escalation cycle is just a masterful retention tool. It guarantees that we, the viewers, can never relax, because the environment is constantly, methodically turning up the heat.
Which brings us to Section 4. Fear, progression, and chaos, the psychological formula.
So we have the stakes, we have the visuals, and we have the escalating timeline. Now let's unpack the specific viral angle that glues this whole thing together into a massive hit. The source explicitly identifies 3 pillars of this viral formula: fear, progression, and chaos survival. Think about how these interact. Fear gets your adrenaline pumping and makes those permanent death stakes feel incredibly real. Progression gives you the deep satisfaction of watching the player build bases, craft better armor, and conquer the environment. But chaos survival? That is the wild card. It ensures that no matter how much you progress, the escalating threat can tear it all down in an instant.
It creates an irresistible narrative loop you just can't look away from.
Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is how it visualizes the balance of these elements. It's kind of like a recipe. If a creator relies only on fear, we get exhausted and we tune out. If they rely only on progression, it becomes this predictable, boring tutorial. But when you perfectly slice these elements together, balancing the absolute terror of the night with the triumphant progression of the day, all wrapped in unpredictable chaos, you achieve perfect audience retention.
So, the crucial point is summarized in this incredibly powerful four-word hook from our source: every night gets harder. Wow, that is the beating heart of the entire concept's success. It's a promise of inevitable, escalating conflict. It guarantees that whatever strategies worked yesterday are simply not going to be enough for tomorrow. It keeps us perpetually on the edge of our seats, deeply, deeply invested in every single sunset.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question, the very thought that drives millions of people to watch this journey from start to finish. Knowing the brutal mechanics of escalation, the permanent loss of hardcore mode, and the brilliant psychological traps laid out in this digital masterpiece. If every night gets harder, how long would you survive? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning how the things you watch are built. Catch you next time.